right, and let's straight go across to visuals on your screens of the Prime Minister leaving for the United States. Remember, he's off on a 3-day visit. He's heading to the US for Quad as well as bilateral talks. He's also going to be addressing the UN General Assembly. So lots on the agenda there for his 3-day visit. In fact, he has said, he made a statement ahead of his departure, ahead of the visit, and he said that we'll be reviewing the India-US strategic partnership, will exchange views on issues of mutual interest, and also looking forward to meet Vice President Kamala Harris. That's also something that's on the agenda. He is also going to meet the Australian and Japanese PMs as well. And the visit essentially will conclude with the address at the UN General Assembly. The focus at the UN will be on the pressing global challenges like the pandemic, as well as the need to combat terror and climate change. So those are some important points as to what exactly is going to be on the agenda, what's going to be the focus of the address at the UN General Assembly. So those are some details coming in at this point in time. This is the 3-day visit that the Prime Minister is going to be is just left for as far as the United States is concerned. And the many important items on the agenda, such as the Quad and bilateral talks. It's also going to be addressing the UN General Assembly as well. So climate change, terror, all of that is going to be on the agenda. And of course, importantly, the challenges such as the pandemic, which is something that is of global importance at this point in time. So that is something to look forward to as far as the Prime Minister's visit to the US is concerned. He did put out a short statement ahead of his visit, where he said that he is going to be reviewing the India-US strategic partnership and also exchanging views on issues of mutual interest. He is also looking forward to meet the Vice President Kamala Harris, and will also be meeting the Australian and Japanese PM as well. And the visit will be concluded with the address at the UN General Assembly. And 26th is when he is going to return back to India. So that's a short trip, but lots on the agenda there as far as the Prime Minister's visit to the US is concerned. Those are some important points coming in at this point in time. In fact, visuals there on your screens of the Prime Minister leaving for the United States, a 3-day visit that the Prime Minister is going for. He's heading to the US for both Quad as well as bilateral talks. He's also going to be addressing the UN General Assembly as well. In fact, he has said before leaving, the statement says that he will be focusing on issues such as the pandemic, in fact terror as well, and climate change. All of these issues will be part of his address at the UN General Assembly, and this trip is from the 22nd, and 26th is when he will be returning. So in fact, just yesterday we also had the Ministry of External Affairs outlining the agenda and the broad itinerary for the agenda of the visit of the Prime Minister. And importantly, the talks with US President Joe Biden is also going to be extremely important. Let's in fact go across to Anil Trigunayat, former ambassador, who is joining us on the phone line. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for joining us. In your view, what is going to be most important to watch out for from this visit, aside of course the fact that it is now the first time he is going to be physically meeting President Joe Biden?
Well, that you rightly said it, because in fact, if you have heard Foreign Secretary when he was briefing, he has very clearly mentioned, in fact, all the 3 events which we are looking at are equally important in today's time and age. Number one is, of course, the bilateral meetings will be first face-to-face meeting between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi. There are issues on both sides. He'll also be meeting Kamala Harris this time, tomorrow. And I think that that is what will actually give a new direction to, under the Biden administration, how we are going to look at this comprehensive global strategic partnership. the new challenges have emerged, especially in our own South Asia, in Afghanistan. Pakistan's terrorism arm has to be contained. So that's what the Americans have all along used. Can we persuade them not to do that anymore? But we don't know. Then at the same time, this COVID collaboration is very important. And of course, the Indo-Pacific, we know that this is the meeting, which is the first time, the physical meet, which will also take the Quad to a new level. But this is happening at a time when we have seen the new trilateral security dialogue or organization that Australia, US, and the UK have done, which has caused a fissure in between not only France but European Union and the USA, which means the transatlantic partnership. And India has great friendship with the French. And as you know, yesterday Prime Minister Modi spoke to French President, and they both agreed to work in the Indo-Pacific together. So India's policy of this hub and spoke with many players in the Indo-Pacific is also going to be discussed. So I think that there is too much on the plate. And now at the UN, of course, there are key issues, which I think that is going to be terrorism, which is like how the world can go together as far as counterterrorism is concerned. What are we going to do about climate change? Because Glasgow summit, where President Biden is asking everybody to up the ante and increase their commitments. And of course, the COVID. I mean, there's of course a meeting tomorrow. I think the virtual meeting of the COVID summit. Now, what happens, because we are seeing what is happening in UK as far as our students are concerned, India's Covishield not being recognized. So I think those are the issues that are very important, and they need to be flagged. And India will get once again into this enhanced vaccine diplomacy, as it has already vaccinated a very large Indian population.
Yes, I think, Ambassador, the vaccine aspect is going to be something that's extremely crucial, especially since India is also restarting exports now as well. But just a word on, what the MEA also said yesterday with regard to the AUKUS and the Quad, in fact, trying to sort of, dilute concerns that there could be some possible dilution of the Quad's agenda by the US pact with UK and Australia, that is AUKUS, which you were also referring to. What is your perspective on that? Do you think, it's right that there's going to be no impact at all?
What Foreign Secretary said is to an extent correct. I mean, he says that it is not a concern for us. It is among the three nations. But, the thing is that the contestation for India's attention by France or other European countries and the US or the AUKUS, like Australia, will continue. But I have a feeling that it will also in another way beneficial to us. Why? Because, so far we have maintained that we are not, as far as our Indo-Pacific strategy is concerned, it is not looking at containing China. So from our perspective, I think once they have the security aspect taken out of it in that sense of the term, I think it gives you a little more, credibility and strategic autonomy. So I think it is from that your expectations of you delivering on everything that they think a security concern will be minimized to some extent. But of course, this will have to be clarified, and all the other three countries have to be assured. Prime Minister Modi will be meeting separately his counterparts. The Japanese foreign minister has already met with the Australian, Japanese, everybody, all the foreign ministers, including the French. So we have to see, it's a very complicated affair at this moment. It is also a question of perception. It's also a question of the economic competition between the U.S. and the French for the strategic defense space. So I think where India has a card, and card being that we have one of the biggest defense pies.
Yes, fair enough, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us with your perspective on this. We'll, of course, be tracking all of those developments and lots to talk about as and when the visit goes ahead. On that note, time to wrap up this edition. We'll be back with lots more on the other side. Stay on.